Good morning, guys. It's just before 8 a.m. and it's time to start working on that car. Now, that thing sat for a year and 7 months now, and it's got old gas in it. I did lift up the car cover just a little bit and poked my head inside. It didn't smell bad inside, but I could see there was a little bit of mold in there. Now, I put really a heavy layer of leather conditioner on the seats, and there could be a little bit of water in that conditioner, and I really soaked it in really heavy. So if there was some pooling up, that could cause a little bit of a mold. So there's just a little bit of mold on some surfaces, but not bad. And I'm debating if the gas smells good, if it still has some potency to it, I may elect to use it. I thought I filled the tank all the way to the top. And if you store gas, the least amount of air surface that's available will help to slow down gas off gassing. So all things to consider. If it smells bad, if it seems like it's not a good deal, I'll drain the whole dang works. It's going to be a lot of work. I'm going to have to go find some kind of a transfer pump. I'll have to go get the gas can from the motorcycle shop that they'll let me use, and then I'll have to bounce back and forth, maybe 4 or 5 trips, and give them the old fuel. I guess they'll use it some way, and just kind of go from there. So that's where we're at, you guys. Vern. Hey. So if you're in the Philippines, the best advice is to try to get in and out of the outside as early as you can. I'm getting a little bit of a late start. It's just before 8 a.m. and I need to get this this car figured out. It's like somebody's chasing their dog. Somebody's dog's running away. It's kind of funny. Anyway, so this is our program today. Got 2 car covers on here. You can see what the sun has done to the first one. It's just roached it out. You've got the backup here, so I guess we're gonna get rid of this one, and I may elect to buy another cover to stick on here. Now, these car covers are not cheap. They're about $60 to $80, and they last, with one cover, it'll last you maybe about 6 months, 8 months with a really good cover, and that's it, you guys. Yeah, one huntsman spider ran out of there, so this one cover's gonna be gone now. I think what I may do is wash this cover before I take it off. That way at least it looks cleaner and a little bit nicer. But then it'll be muddy when I'm walking around, so it's like, shoot. What do you do? I got no place to really spread it out around, but yeah, I think I still want to wash it first. So I got my hose kind of buried in the weeds. When I wash my car, I'm almost always sure to use Daz Citrussly in Love. All right, so the goal is just to get some of this dirt off of here. Give it a little scrub, give it a little rub, and then we're gonna pull this dude off and work on the inside. So that's where we're at. Just working our way. I gotta make us some subs. Big bubbles, no troubles. All right, so why am I cleaning this cover? For 2 reasons. One reason, I like to take good care of my stuff, and it shows pride. And secondly, it shows people, hey, there's somebody here taking care of things. So after a year and a half, it doesn't look abandoned, and people are like, oh, wait, somebody's there. And it's a good thing for security, for less issues.
I do when I'm out, so try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at these beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, nothing can break me.
Now, I'll give you my honest opinion. If I had to do this again, I would have had bamboo shelters made. Now, being that I'm renting, I didn't think about doing something like that, but now looking back, as long as I've been here, that would have made more sense, would have been cheaper. It could have been an issue during the storm, but it would have lasted a lot longer for the money invested. I'm not sure what they would have cost, but at some point I may still elect to get a couple opinions to see how much a couple bamboo shelters would cost to erect, because buying these covers 6 to 9 months, you know, $80 a pop, that adds up, you guys. And this cover's held up really good because it was double covered, and it still feels pliable, doesn't feel dried out, but the sun here is no joke. It's so brutal. It'll fry out these covers so fast. So the key is, paint is super, super expensive. So whatever you do, cover it with something. Keep the sun away from your paint. You can spend a lot of money on covers, but you can spend a small fortune on paint. All right, something to think about. For a good paint job that's gonna last, you can have somebody schluck out a paint job, but you're gonna get what you pay for. It's gonna peel off, and then you're gonna go, oh, my car looks like crap again. Well, there you go. All right, let's pull this dude off. See what it looks like.
Look at these beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, nothing can break me. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at these beautiful stars.
There it is. That paint looked to have held up perfect, you guys. Spend the money on a good waterproof cover. The paint held up perfect. Apart from a little dirt on the top, everything's perfect. Looks great. I love these lights that are in here. Really shine the world up with those. But other than being dirty, everything's held up, you guys. Real happy about that. All right, so let's look inside here. Now I see just a little bit of mold on the seat, but you see it just comes right off. Now, I think this was from when I heavily put that conditioner on there, but the ceiling doesn't look dirty or stained, and everything looks to be really good. So it should clean up real easy. It doesn't smell funky in here at all. The interior was mint in here. Like I say, you guys, this thing's got really low kilometers. So aside of a, you know, mild cleaning, this thing's gonna be ready to go pretty quick. Yeah, it doesn't really smell too funky. Just a little bit of odor, but not much. I mean, almost nothing. There we go. Rock and roll. I'm excited. I am excited. Yeah, there's my good hiking boots. I would have loved to have had those in like Turkey. Didn't have them because I just had too much junk already. All right, let's get cleaning. Gotta wash it first. All right, so we're gonna have to pop the hood because we're gonna have to charge the battery after it's washed. And let's pop the gas door. I'm curious how this is gonna smell. Really curious. I'm praying for a miracle. If it's got some pressure in here. So let's smell this fuel. Let's see what this is about here. Gosh, I hope it's okay. Didn't feel real tight. Still smells good though. Not a great idea to be smelling the fuel, but I'm gonna have to see how full it is. That's the other thing. See how full it is first. Well, it's a risk, but all right. So we got to charge it up before it can even check the fuel level. So that'll have to happen later. Yeah, I felt like a needle in my foot. I'm like, ow! And it was one of the red ants, man. Those things are brutal. So if you're in this grass, move fast. Don't stop for long. They'll get you, man. They're freaking, they're the worst. All right, well, I popped the hood and this don't look good. It's freaking rats living underneath here. Jeez, look at that. Gosh dang it. Will they take out the alternator with all the crap? Is that gonna clean up? Is that gonna work? God only knows. That looks like the worst of it though, look at that. That ain't too cool. Some poop on the top. This side looks okay. What was I thinking? My head just wasn't there. I meant to disconnect this battery. What the heck? Gosh dang it, I dropped the ball on this one, you guys. Okay, well, at least now I know. So we're just blasting this stupid thing with water. Let's see what happens. Let's hope it's all superficial. Well, worst case scenario, I'd have to have the alternator rebuilt. If it turns out that that's an issue, we'll just blast all this crap out of here first. I'm not sure what was living in her, but probably a rat. Size of these turds. Well, looks like that's on top, so that's a good sign so far. Let's just hope it all cleans out, you guys. Doesn't jam anything up inside of that. That's the goal. Otherwise it looks okay in here. It's just the crap on the top, and hopefully there's nothing plugged in here. God, I thought I disconnected that battery. That was not smart. Damn it. Kind of mad at myself now. Tried to do everything before I left, and just looks like I dropped the ball on that. Dropped the ball on that one. I may not have filled up the gas to the top either, so I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out what we're up against. Well, at least it's looking better, right? Or maybe that was just on the top. So I'm just gonna clean the hell out of this, you guys. All right, well, it looks still cleaned up okay. I just was freaked out at the beginning because I don't like to see anything in there at all. All right, so let's look at the coolant. So I had this replaced probably a couple years ago with a new cap. Yeah, that still looks great, so we're good there. It's all the way to the top, so no issues. It's a good sign, right? Something sat for a year and a half, and the coolant's at the same height, then there's zero issues. Zero, so that's perfect. So that's what you want. Yeah, I would have hoped to have disconnected that. Battery's totally flat, so gosh dang it, you know, sometimes you had good intentions and just didn't turn out the way you thought it did. You know, and what you remember and what you're trying to do sometimes end up being two different things. But in any event, it's a new battery. It should come back up, being it was only charged one time, so crossing my fingers. Well, the good news, after about 30 minutes, the charger's starting to rise. All right, so the question is, did I fill the tank like I meant to? Well, I didn't get it topped off. Better than nothing. Better than nothing. So in any event, we'll let it charge up. So if you guys are coming from the States, buy yourselves one of these little portable air pumps. Best little investment. Get yourself an extra battery. I've used this for a couple of years and I love having it. So this tire's pretty low. I didn't lose air completely in any of the tires, but they're low. That little pump's a lifesaver. I mean, what are you gonna do if you're at the house and you got a flat tire? How are you gonna get air? Having that, amazing. If you're gonna have a car or motorcycle, get one of these from the States. I love this thing. I don't know what I'd do without it. Man, before I put new tires on, like my Pajero, things would go flat all the time. Surprisingly, for a year and a half, none of these tires went totally dead. This tire I'm doing now is at 20. So I'll bring it up to 35 and then we'll be good to go. So I'll let everything charge and I'll try to take a guess whether or not I want to drain this fuel yet. In any event, I'd have to get it on the concrete and figure out how I want to drain that. It's not going to be an easy thing if I decide to do it. So, all right, so we did air up the tires in the back. The left rear was just about flat. You can see it's coming up, and if we turn the key on, everything starts to work. So it's charging. It's been on there maybe about an hour, and it says to fully charge 60 amp battery about 10 hours. So let this sit most of the day, and I think we'll start to put some air in these tires and check these out. So just kind of work around. Captain, my captain. So I'm waiting in line at Norreco 2 to pay my electric bill in Valencia. So this one is 2,337 pesos, and it looks like it had another month on there. So usually at these places there's a lot of long lines, so prepare to wait. So here's the line here now, and I've been here probably 30 minutes. All right, guys, so here's the backstory. This is the battery out of my Xtrail, and it says maintenance free, right? Now, what they want you to think is that there's no way to maintain this battery or add anything to it. Now, it had a sticker on here, and this is the sticker. And it says, do not remove sticker, void warranty. Well, why? Because they don't want you to be able to maintain your battery. So I basically removed these caps, and this cell here on the end looks like it's quite a bit low. I don't have my screwdriver here. But what I've kind of determined is that this cell's pretty low. These are a little bit low, and it's showing 7 volts from terminal to terminal. So it tells me that half the battery is not connected to the other half, quite possibly, and that could be because of this really low cell. And if that's the case, then filling this up and topping off the others and putting a charge on it may bring it back up. And that could be why sometimes it tries to charge and then it stops and it tries to charge. The rest of the cells are pretty full, except this one is quite low. So I'm gonna go find some distilled water and we're gonna try it again, see if we can save this. Because like I said, this battery was used charged one time, you know, and then it sat in the car, and I bought it just before I left. So I hate to not try to save it, especially at the price of batteries. That battery was probably $80 US, and that, I think it was just over 4,000 pesos. So yeah, I got to try to save that if I can. And then we're going to go to town and get my passport. So that came done yesterday because it had been 5 days. And if you don't go with the express, then it's going to be about 5 days. So it's kind of rainy and yucky today, but we're going to drive in town nonetheless and try to get something accomplished today. All right, you guys, so I pull all the caps off. I don't know if you can see how low the cells are. I'll try to show you. That's the lowest cell there. The rest aren't too bad, but I'm not sure if we can do anything with that one on the hydrometer thing. So I was able to find pure distilled water, which is what you want to use in these batteries. You don't want to use just normal water. And we'll fill it up just below the top. Now, it was reading about 7 volts, so I'm going to put water in it and see if it changes the voltage. So just putting water in here seemed to bring it from 7 to 9 volts. So that's a good sign. Now, I don't know about this center one, what I can do with that. Might have to try to overfill these other two and see if anything goes into this one. I don't know if I can take that out or if it's just nothing I can do. All right, so we hooked up the charger and it's on 0. It's not a really good sign. Nothing's happening. Cells are filled other than that one mystery cell in the end. And so I hooked up the battery charger to it, and the light's on and it's humming, but yet the meter shows 0. And the very first time I used the meter, it showed 0 for a little bit, and then it kind of slowly creeped up, and then it went up to 2, and then it went up to 4, and then back down to 2, and back down to 0, and I'm like, this is really weird. And so my thinking was maybe there was a cell in there that was dry and it was kind of bouncing back and forth. And then when I put the fluid in it, I plugged it back in and it just was at 0, but the light's on and I'm listening to it, it's humming, and I'm like, what the heck? Why is this battery not charging? I'm looking in the cells and the cells look fine. I don't think there was ever any really totally dry cells that would cause corrosion, which is great. And like I said, I bought this thing brand new, and it just sat, and then it went flat, and that's it. It was maybe charged fully one time and then put in the car. So my mind was kind of boggled. And then for some reason I had to look at this charger. Now if you look, there's a fuse holder here, and then in the back of it there's another fuse holder, and one of the fuses was dead. And I pulled the fuse out, and the guy said it was a 3 ampere. Well, this thing's supposed to have an 8 amp fuse. I went all the way into Dumaguete to the main place that I thought would have this stuff, and they moved. So I went to another place that I knew that had some fuses, and the best they had was 6 amp fuses. So the battery charger is a 6 amp battery charger. You're better having a couple amps higher than what you're using. It may be an issue, it may not, but let's give it a shot. Let's see what it'll do. Let's just put it in here. So what a surprise that fuse had blown. It didn't really give me any indicator that it had. So power's off. Okay. Yeah, that was kind of a surprising, and it could be a good blessing, but let's find out. All right, well, it's in there. Let's see if it changed anything. Yeah, it looks like maybe it's going up a little. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. We'll watch it. Yeah, it is. At least this time it's at 0. It wasn't at 0 before. So that's a good sign. Before it was below 0. So we'll kind of watch. Well, we'll watch it here. All right, so now it is working. Let me just kind of monitor it and see what it does. All right, guys, good morning. I just kind of jumped out of bed and I thought, let's see if we can get this car running. Now, the battery would only come up to about 12.3 volts. So basically, I took a chance. I put the battery in there. I figured it'd probably have enough juice to start it, but will it come back to life? Will the car run? How will it run? Well, here we go. So I gave it a start. You can hear it now. Needs a good cleaning. But look at how smooth that is. It's still running really good, you guys. It's starting to come up to temperature now, so it's running perfect. Took a chance. Took a chance. Now it just needs a hell of a clean. Now the ants are starting to come on it after last night. I don't know where they came from, but they're starting to climb all over it. So once I pulled the covers off, they're trying to make a new home. So anyway, you can see that the tank is about 3/4, and it's running real smooth. Tack isn't even moving, it's just staying there. And it's just, I would say this thing was the smoothest running car that I ever had. And with this fuel that's in it, it's running probably 90% is smooth. So it's just maybe, just barely noticeable. 10% a little rougher, probably because it's a little lower octane. But I did put some heat in the gas, and I put a little bit of octane booster in there, so I give it a little bit of a boost. All right, guys, we took a risk. I don't know if the battery will come back. I'll have to do a test later to see what the voltage ends up being. Now the key is, will the hydrometer end up turning green, and will it end up being a good battery? I don't know. This car never took a lot of energy to start, so it could run a while on a weaker battery, but we'll just run a little bit. We'll see what happens. So that's where we're at, you guys. I didn't have to spend $100 this morning, which was good. And I didn't have to drain the gas since running like a trooper. So that's my best case scenario, you guys. Running like a champ. Running like a champ. Dirty. This thing's got, what has it got for kilometers? I'll show you. It's really low. That's one of the reasons I bought this, because it is so low. It's got 42,000 kilometers, which is, I think, 28,000 miles. So, real low. And this engine ought to last a long time, you guys. All right, so the coolant fan's kicked in. It's been run up to temp. The coolant fan shut off. Everything looks good. I think we're gonna be good to go. Now we gotta take it down and have insurance put on it and have it licensed again. So to kind of sum things up, the car ran really good, and it just ran better as it was sitting for a little bit longer on idle, and that's great. And that car always ran just like a watch, because it is a good engine and it had really low miles. Now the battery, I don't have a lot of hopes for that battery. When I checked it afterwards, it was at like 12.1 after running the aircon a little bit, or attempting to run the aircon after running the heater and just kind of cycling through everything. And one thing I will have to do is I'll have to charge the AC, so that went totally flat. And that's about the best I could hope for, because it could have went anyway. You know, it could have just had really crappy sour fuel with all that extra alcohol in it, but I think the fuel I use has only got like 10% in it, and I think we're going to be okay. All right, guys, I made one final battery assessment. So this battery, fully charged, is supposed to be 12.6 to 12.2 volts. Now, when I ran it and I got it really warmed and I shut it off, it was only registering about 12.1 volts, and it's just not enough voltage. Now, the most important thing is if your battery is starting to go weak, it makes your starter work really hard, and a weak battery can destroy a good starter. So then you're going to spend money on a starter, and then you'll have to replace your battery. So the other thing is, there are not many tow trucks around here. So if you have an issue, you're not going to get a AAA coming out to bail you out. So for the money, you might as well just buy a brand new battery and have peace of mind. Then you're done. So this battery was just under $100. This is what I got, this dude right here. So we'll put this dude in and rock and roll. So that's it right there. That's what we're looking at. And it was about 4,600 pesos. All right, so I did everything in my power to try to save us the money. If we can't save it, then we can't save it. That's just how it all goes down. But we did everything we could, and we replaced it because the other battery just wasn't working. We didn't replace something that didn't need to be replaced, so I'll put it that way. There we go, there it is. Just put on the air box here and we're done. All right, guys, we're back at my favorite smoke test center. This is in Dumaguete. If you get a chance, these guys are great. They helped me out. So I got to renew the tags. I just got the insurance. So the insurance was just under 10,000 pesos, so that's about $200 for a whole year, and insures the value of the car. And I forgot there was some other coverages, but anyway, we're good to go. And now we just got to get this smoke tested. It's been sitting and I got crappy fuel, so hopefully we'll be okay. All right, so I just filled up the car. It was about half full, and it took about $30 US to fill up, and that was about 1,500 pesos. And so now it's got half new premium fuel and then half of the old fuel, and this thing still runs perfect. It gave me 0 issues, 0 problems. It's just running as smooth as a kitten at like 900 RPM, just purring right along. So basically, the only other thing that I have to do besides a battery is get the aircon recharged. It went flat sitting, and it was getting a little bit less cold before I left, and I thought maybe it was gonna sometime need a charge, and now it needs a charge for sure. So, and it might be $100, $150. So anyway, that's what we're looking at, and then this thing's good to go.
Hey, Vern.